Hey there, greetings everyone. It's GleeCon, and I'm back piping some hot content into your ear holes and your eye holes. Hopefully that's it. Draw the line there. On our last episode, we played through the wetlands, killed a ton of raptors, and you heard me prattle on per usual, and I will get better every day. I'm going to try to be 1% better than the day before. But we did get to see some cool lore. We started to kill some orcs, but it was taking a bit of our time. So we did clear out the excavation site in the wetlands, and we should wrap it up in 1 to 2 more episodes. Methinks it will be 2 because of some of the Thandal span stuff is a little time consuming. There are some really fun, interesting quests, but it's a little tricky. We've also been reading through War of the Scaleborn, and that's where we are right now. In the last chapter, it was a super shorty, kind of caught me by surprise, and it was just kind of the plotting of Iridikron, how he's been, why he can't make more incarnates, and we know why the aspects can't make more aspects because the Titans are dead. But the incarnates, it's a risk kind of thing. They have to put themselves out, and the chance of dying is high. And then they even start to say, well, then he can't risk his best lieutenants because it's not, if they fail, and the chances are they're going to fail, he's going to lose powerful people. So he's kind of retreated into his mountain Harrow's Deep. And we've got maybe 4 chapters left, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to bring the fight to him, I imagine. I'm excited to jump into this episode with you guys. Coming off of, I did coach. I talked about my busy night. Tuesday, it's been a super busy week. I'm exhausted, but I wanted to make sure before I just sink down into the couch. I didn't even let myself sit down. I just walked in the door. It's like, I got to get it busted out now because if I sit down, I'm not getting up. I'm going to be down for the count. Right now, I'm kind of going on some adrenaline. We had coached again. I coach a girls' team and a boys' team, and I've been coaching for about 20 years. And I want to tell you right now, anybody that's coached, you probably know this is true, but coaching women, coaching girls is just so much more gratifying. If you can coach a co-ed sport now, sure, you're coaching football, it's a little different. You don't have the same options, but it's just night and day difference. It's a whole other thing. The athleticism is a lot higher for the most part when you coach boys, and that's exciting. But the strategy, the coachability is usually much higher with girls, and we played a couple matches, couple different teams, and we had a 2-2 draw, and then we also had lost 2-1, but it was with a real bad news bears kind of team. These girls just came in as though they were going to lose, and for them to respond, it was sometimes like that 2-1 loss was more exciting and gratifying and fun to coach, and I was in my bag as a coach there, and it felt good, more so than some games where I've won 5-0 or whatever. So it was a good one, and I'm going to take that energy and we're going to bring it into the Dragonflight. So stay a while and listen. I've even got night coffee, so my heart's going to be palpitating, but I'm going to get through chapter 25 of War of the Scaleborn. Iridikron spent decades preparing to receive the Dragon Queen at Harrow's Deep. The Primalists had slowed her advance, holding Alexstrasza and Neltharion at bay while the Stone-Scaled made new plans, sought to create new incarnates, and filled the lightless tunnels and caverns of Harrow's Deep with horrors uncountable. At his command, the 1,000 halls of his keep would rumble and shift, turning the mountain into an endless, unsolvable maze. Let the Dragon Queen think she was on the offense. Her confidence would cause her to overlook the dangers Iridikron had crafted in shadow and stone. If she stepped foot inside Harrow's Deep, Iridikron would entomb her under the mountain just as she had done to Raszageth, Farak, and Viranoth. No matter the cost, Iridikron would crush the aspects to dust, shatter their flights, and wipe order magic from the world. He would free the other incarnates from their prisons if only to lay Neltharion's work low. However, to bring his plans to fruition, the Stone-Scaled needed new allies. I wonder if it's going to be the Jaredin. Yep, look at the next sentence. Iridikron found the Jaredin chieftainess in a great yawning cavern deep within the world's crust. Igira the Cruel was a hulking creature, one of the largest of her kind. Fiery markings danced across her indigo skin, and thick scars marbled her flesh. The scent of dragon's blood clung to her unwashed clothing, pungent and rancid. Her battle axe was notched from biting into the scales of hundreds of red and black dragons. The giantess sat alone on a rocky promontory overlooking a lake of magma. She had recently led an allied force into the Scale-Cracker Peaks, taking advantage of Alexstrasza's and Neltharion's absence in the Waking Shores. After 15 moons, she suffered a crushing defeat at the talons of the red and black dragonflights, who then chased the Jarradine from their ancestral lands. Yeah, so it makes sense that this is where they're going to go. As Iridikron crept toward her, silent as melting stone, the giantess spoke. "Have you come to fight me, dragon?" Igira made no move. Instead, she watched the great islands of black stone float across the lava, contemplative. "I have come to offer you a new challenge, and a chance at vengeance." The Jarradine leader blew a breath out of her nose and lifted her chin. Long, matted locks of hair shifted across her broad back. "Would you offer yourself to my axe, dragon?" "We share a common enemy, you and I," Iridikron said, pausing a few wing lengths from the giantess. "What if I told you I could deliver to your people not only the Waking Shores, but the 5 aspects as well?" "I would call you a fool," Igira replied. "The aspects are canny enemies, as you well know. Iridikron, the stone-scaled. Have they not beaten you from the skies? Time and time again I have watched your forces fall to their superior strength." Iridikron narrowed his eyes. "You have fared no better against them, Igira the Cruel." "Then why do you come to me now?" the Jarradine said, turning to look at him from the corner of one eye. "You hate the aspects perhaps more than I do," Iridikron replied. "You and your kind stand to gain much from their annihilation. We should fight them together." The Jarradine's face remained impassive. She studied him for a long moment, gaze narrow, before turning away. "I would sooner kill you than call you an ally." "Prove it, then!" Iridikron thumped the ground with his tail, cracking the stone underfoot. A new crevasse formed like a thunderbolt in the rock, racing toward the Jarradine leader. Just before it reached her backside, Igira slammed her fist down. The impact shattered a small crater in the stone, halting Iridikron's attack. The Jarradine leapt to her feet and turned. The blade of her battle axe glowed with bright fire as she charged forward. Iridikron growled and dropped his chin to protect his throat, but otherwise the stone-scaled sank his talons into the rock and stood his ground. Igira swung her axe in a massive arc, its light searing Iridikron's sight. She slammed the blade into the stone-scaled's neck where the metal shattered on stone. The blow reverberated through Iridikron's body. He grunted. The broken pieces of Igira's axe clattered to the floor, useless. The Jarradine stumbled back from him, eyes wide. Iridikron thought he saw a tremor roll through her knees, but it might have been a figment of his imagination. "It will take more than an axe to shatter my hide," Iridikron said. "Ah, proper challenge." Igira's lips turned up in a wicked grin, charging at him a second time. "I will kill you with my bare hands, then." "Unlikely," Iridikron replied, forcing the ground to buck beneath her. She stumbled and fell to her knees. The Jarradine looked up at him with a snarl. "Help me kill the aspects, Igira, and I shall give you the fight you so desire." She eyed him as she rose to her feet. "If I were to agree to this alliance," she said with no small amount of distaste, "what would you ask of me?" "You have many friends among the Jarradine tribes in the Dragon Wilds," he said. "Call them to Harrow's Deep." "Fine," she said, cracking the knuckles of one hand against the palm of another. "But you will need to bring us your prey quickly, or else we will turn on you." Talonstrahd spent the night near Wormrest Temple, helping the Jarradine lure dragons away from the safety of their flight's patrols. The Red would feign injury, pretending to have been struck down by half-giant spears. Once the target came within range, the Jarradine would leap from the shadows, knocking the dragon unconscious. The victims were then chained and transported underground. The Red delivered the dragons to a cavern in the Sawtooth Mountains, conferring quickly with the Jarradine Huntmaster. All told, Talonstrahd had helped capture 12 dragons in a single night. The Huntmaster eyed him curiously, almost hungrily, and Talonstrahd wondered if he would one day be tossed into a cage as well. The Red knew Iridikron would never trust him, but perhaps that was just as well. Talonstraws felt no sense of connection or loyalty to the Stone-Scaled either. Talonstraws fought for Viranoth and Viranoth alone. Eridikron had ordered Talonstraws and his comrades to work with the Jardine and capture as many dragons as they could manage. The Red approached the task with resolve. He would do anything to help free Viranoth from the Vault of the Incarnates. She had taken him under her wing literally and figuratively and taught him much about the world. Talonstraws would not leave her to rot. As he strode past the sleeping dragons in their chains, a small hushed voice asked, "Talonstraws?" The voice sent a shock of electricity through Talonstraws' veins. He knew it well. The Red closed his eyes, telling himself to leave, to fly away, to forget. All that mattered now was freeing Viranoth from her prison under the mountain. Against his better judgment, he turned, his tail scraping on the cavern's stone floor. A red dragon stared at him from a pack of slumbering dragons, her golden eyes pleading. Even cast in shadow, Talonstraws recognized her face. The high cheekbones, the elegant four-pronged crown of horns, her large oval eyes, the sharpness of her snout. A heavy black collar encircled her neck, and 3 thick chains lashed her to the ground. His heart stumbled over a beat. "Layla Straza," he whispered, frozen. "Sister." What had she been doing at Wormrest Temple? Last he checked, his sister had chosen to join the Ruby Flamebringers. She should have been thousands of wing lengths away from here. Layla Straza tried to rise to her feet, straining against the taut chains. The light from a nearby torch fell on her confused features. A green drake shifted his weight in the shadows behind her, turning his head to look in their direction. Talonstraws recognized the green as Tyrannus, one of his sister's oldest and dearest friends. "What are you doing here?" Layla Straza said, glancing at a nearby guard. Are you working with the Jardine? With dragon killers?" "You won't be harmed, Layla, I swear it," Talonstraws said, though even he could taste the bitterness of the lie on his lips. "The aspects fly on Harrow's Deep. You and your fellows will only be used to keep Neltharion from dropping Harrow's Deep on our heads. Nothing more." "Who told you that?" Layla Straza whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. "Eridikron? Igira the Cruel? You cannot possibly believe that the Jardine mean me no harm. I've spent decades fighting them on our borders. They will not spare me." "They will," Talonstraws said, ignoring the sharp pain in his chest. He turned away. "I am sorry, sister, but I cannot help you." "Talonstraws, please," Layla Straza said with a sob. The fear and grief in her voice cracked his heart in half, but he kept moving forward, placing one foot in front of the other. "Don't leave us here! The Jardine will kill us! Talonstraws! Talonstraws!" He took flight, allowing her screams to fade away. Man, you gotta do something special to really give up that much of your, morality. I don't care what you believe in. And we had another shorty, so they must be really saving these pages. I think that was maybe 5 long or so. So we've got still 48 to go. That really was, we had barely more than 50, 52. And so they've got to be, these last chapters must be doozies. But for now, we have another episode in the pipe, 5x5. And yeah, I'll check you all later. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we make another episode of Lore of Warcraft. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in.